So you think you're good at games? Well, Kill Knight on the Switch is here to put that to the test. This brutally difficult, ultra-responsive, arcade-inspired, isometric action shooter, it isn't here to mess around, so if you're ready to push your skills to the limit, stick around because this one will challenge you in all of the right ways. Now, let's dive in and see if you've got what it takes to survive, and subscribe if this video helps you out. Before we do dive headfirst into the action, let's touch on the story. It's minimal, but trust me, it's all the motivation you need. So you were once a loyal knight, however you were betrayed and banished to the abyss. You're now a corpse inside reanimated armor, condemned to eternal sufferance. Now you've been branded as Kill Knight and your sole purpose is clear, that is, kill the last angel. You are armed with an arsenal of devastating weaponry, and yeah, overall the story may not be deep, but it perfectly sets the stage for this gruesome gothic world. Now let's talk gameplay, and I need to be honest with you here, when I say this game is difficult, I'm not exaggerating. In fact, let's clear something up right away. Kill Knight is brutal. It's made up of 5 levels. I'm currently stuck on level 4, and it seems, from what I'm seeing, the majority of players are experiencing that same uphill battle. The game though offers 3 difficulty settings initially, with a 4th unlockable option. Checking out the leaderboards, I'm one of only 5 players to make it to level 4, and only one brave soul has conquered all 5, and that was on easy mode no less. As for my experience, I started on normal difficulty, but yeah, I dialed it down to easy pretty damn quickly. I'm dropping this review now because at the time of recording, no one's covered it on the Switch, and I've sunk over 10 hours into its world. I also think it should be celebrated by the right audience, so I wanted to get something out there. That said though, I don't usually review games I haven't finished, but trust me here, this one's worth talking about, even if it's got me seriously questioning my own ability. So what's Kill Knight all about? Well, as I mentioned, it's an isometric action shooter, but don't let that label fool you. There's a lot more depth to the mechanics than you might expect, and the learning curve here is real. Now thankfully the game includes a thorough tutorial to get you up to speed, but at its core, I'd describe it as a twin-stick shooter with melee mechanics, and the real brilliance of the design is how it seamlessly combines both, making each element essential for survival. But here's the twist though that might surprise some. Not only do you have a main weapon, but you also wield a secondary weapon starting with a shotgun. The catch though, you only gain bullets for your secondary attack by slashing enemies with your sword. This recharge mechanic creates a unique flow, forcing you to balance ranged and close quarter combat in a way that feels strategic. But that is just the beginning. There's an active reload system, meaning if you time your reload perfectly, you'll get additional damage for that next round of shots. On top of that, enemies flash before they attack, giving you a chance to parry. That delivers devastating counterattacks. Special attacks also play a crucial role, not just for dealing heavy damage, but because they make enemies drop health shards, so mastering them is going to be key to surviving longer battles. Speaking of shards then as well, you do have the option to pull them towards you by holding the right trigger, or you can go all in with an active reload using the same collect button. This actually instantly sucks up all nearby shards. However, there is a trade-off there now because this leaves you with weaker bullets, again adding strategy, so it's kind of a case of balancing when and how you use these different abilities. So yeah, complex? Absolutely. But is it rewarding and well balanced? Without a doubt. And get this, what I just described is only your starting loadout. You can swap out all of your weapons, choose different armor types, and even equip orbs that modify your abilities. Each new loadout opens up new strategies and playstyles. So take the guns for example. Another pistol I tried comes with an active reload spin attack that just shreds enemies around you. The armor you choose can slow down the cooldown of your dash, which is a crucial move since it gives you invincibility frames. But there is certain armor where dashing doesn't just give you a quick escape, you can now dash into enemies and kill them outright. Then there are the orbs, which give you all kinds of passive boosts like increased movement speed or taking less damage. And if that's not enough then as well, the game is actually built around high score chasing and multiplayers, which actually ties into the gameplay beautifully. The bigger your kill chain, the more powerful your character becomes, and you even move faster. So yeah, basically like it can feel overwhelming at first, I won't lie, but just wow, the sense of accomplishment when everything here clicks together, it is just absolutely unreal. None of this though would of course matter without well thought out levels and enemies, and Kill Knight nails that too. And from what I've experienced, the levels are perfectly designed to challenge you at every turn, and each level takes somewhere in the region of 8 to 12 minutes to complete, but just when you think you've got a handle on things, the environments, they start to evolve. It's called layers in this world. So you defeat waves of enemies, and then the entire stage begins to shift. So spaces grow or shrink, platforms, they change, and a new section may open up to push you forwards. But as you do progress, it gets even more chaotic. So expect to dodge obstacles like exploding towers, spinning totems of death, lasers that melt through your health, and classic traps like floor spikes that just keep you on your toes. And it's not just the environments, of course, that are out to get you. The enemy variety is fantastic. Now sure, you'll start with basic grunts, but then comes the ranged attackers, enemies with brutal jumping strikes, massive tank-like creatures launching grenades everywhere, and the list just grows from there. The game constantly ups the ante, adding new enemy types and ramping up the difficulty. The result is a relentless onslaught that mixes overwhelming numbers with bullet hell levels of firepower popping off all around you. Each new challenge here keeps you guessing, and just when you think you've seen it all, a new enemy or obstacle makes sure you don't get too comfortable. And the best thing of all, there was one small issue I encountered. That was it during gameplay, and that was when the shifting environments pushed me into a spot I shouldn't have been. That resulted in me taking a hit from a ranged attack. Basically, it was pushing me into the boundaries of what would be that next layer, that next arena. It only happened to me once, but it's worth mentioning as, something to watch out for. Beyond that though, I've got almost no complaints about the gameplay. And if you're thinking at this point as well, but what about when I beat the game? What keeps me coming back? Well, first of all, good luck beating it. But second, the game's highly replayable thanks to loadout changes, challenges that unlock additional perks like killing 100 enemies in a chain in a single layer. And when you do manage to beat a level, you're given a rating. I could barely scrape beyond a D, so yeah, there's that too. Now let's talk performance, because with a game as intense as Kill Knight, frame rate could make or break the experience. Now it is targeting a 60 FPS, which is ambitious given the chaotic on-screen action. However, as the levels shift and the intensity ramps up, you will notice constant fluctuations in the frame rate as the game tries to keep up with the chaos. Now the biggest drop I noticed was down to around 40 FPS, and that was when the action reached overwhelming levels. But these dips, while noticeable, they aren't aggressive. I never felt like they hindered my ability to play. Watching the footage back as well, it's almost more obvious visually than it felt in hand. There's also a stylistic freeze when you counter an enemy's attack, but having played the Steam demo, I can say this pause seems to hold a little bit longer on the Switch. Now that's likely performance related, but it's not disruptive enough to take away from the experience. Visually on the Nintendo Switch then you're going to notice a bit more pixelation compared to other platforms, but honestly it works stylistically with the world of Kill Knight. The game blends a futuristic vibe with gothic elements, and watching the environment transition is stunning, as are the various enemies and their repertoire of attacks. Even when you're facing hundreds of enemies at once, the clarity is spot on. You'll always be able to spot incoming firepower, and trust me, any demise was solely down to my ability, not the visuals. Then, sure, the environments can feel minimalistic by design, even repetitive as you progress, but they do just enough to keep things feeling fresh from location to location, with things such as changes in lighting and new objects, and of course, different ways to meet your ends. And then finally, there's the audio. Once again, it's absolutely killer. The music has this industrial and metal vibe, and if you're a fan of Nine Inch Nails, you're going to feel right at home. The sound effects then are equally impressive. Each weapon feels weighty. Enemies have distinct cues to warn you of incoming attacks, and environmental hazards like lasers, they're complemented with sound cues that give you just enough of a heads up before chaos strikes. It is, in my opinion, a sound field done right. So overall, Kill Knight is incredible. Honestly, it's one of the best games I've played in 2024. That said, I can't recommend it to everyone, and here's why. The difficulty. And we're not just talking tough, we are talking brutal. It is easily one of the most challenging games I've played in years, and the global leaderboards definitely reflect that. It is going to push you, it's going to destroy you, and let's be real, it's going to frustrate you. But if you are a fan of the genre, I dare you to resist trying just one more time. After over 10 hours in its world, suffering, I've loved every second of it. I also can't wait to see what high score chasers and speedrunners do with it down the line. Now look, sure, there are a few issues like the unlocked frame rate, but from the 4 of 5 levels I've faced, it's been more than manageable. So with all of that said today, I'm giving Kill Knight an amazing 9 out of 10. Right now, I can barely feel my hands thanks to the sheer response time. It demands an effect I couldn't put it down, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Also, do not worry, I haven't given up. I am determined to beat this thing, and if you want to join me for the ride, I will see you on the leaderboards. But I will say here, good luck, you're gonna need it. It's a brutal world out there. So will you be checking out Kill Knight on the Switch? Let me know in the comments below. Also, if you've already been playing, I'd love to hear your thoughts and how your progression is going. Don't forget then to subscribe for daily Switch content, and I'll see you all in the next video. Cheers all.